Alors les sous-titres, en français. Avez-vous déjà joué à The Stanley Parable? Et bien là, c'est là où on va voir le truc, c'est que non, en fait, moi je suis au courant juste enfin, je connais le jeu, je connais quelques gimmicks du jeu, par exemple, on va avoir une fin, bref, je le dirai tout à l'heure, mais je sais que c'est un monument de jeu vidéo, que c'est un jeu qui a été codé avec le moteur de Half-Life, c'était les trucs à la CS, à la Garry's Mod, et voilà, c'est un jeu, c'est un walking simulator qui a fait son petit chemin et qui a marqué les esprits de plus d'une personne. Et là, il y a la version Ultra Deluxe donc, qui sort, qui est une version mise au goût du jour avec de nouvelles choses, beaucoup de nouvelles choses apparemment, énormément de nouvelles choses. Et c'est un jeu que je voulais découvrir depuis très longtemps, donc c'est parti. Et moi, je vais m'amuser, donc non. Je regarde sur le live ce que ça donne. En fait pas. On va mettre un petit peu plus clair, histoire de... Et ça devrait être pas mal. Entrée de l'heure actuelle. Oh, sérieux. Ok. Ça c'est depuis le menu principal. Ok. Oui, mais je n'en ai pas besoin, moi. Je regarde, hein. Ah. Ah, c'est raciste. Interagir E, left control. Ok. Ok, on peut y aller, hein.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
C'est un jeu qu'on va beaucoup recommencer.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Pardon. Je vais tout casser. C'est un jeu où c'est bien de tout casser.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ah, je l'ai éteint.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Attendez. Je le fais exprès, hein. C'est bizarre, attendez. Il y a des trucs qui marchent bizarrement. Ce soir, Twitch fait un peu n'importe quoi, c'est un peu bizarre. On va voir hein, s'il me dit quelque chose, hein. Moi j'en sais rien. Hein. Bon.
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Je fais câbler le jeu. Attends, mais c'est bizarre, mais pourquoi? Pourquoi ça fait de la merde? Ouais, ce soir ça a du mal. Hein. Hate Monday.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Quoi? J'ai pas envie de faire ce qu'il me dit. Ah, voilà.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Non. Je refuserai tout ce que tu as dit. On tente tout, hein. On casse le jeu, c'est notre but.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Écoutez, hein, C'est le jeu, hein. Voilà, ouais, c'est qu'est-ce que ça
Stanley
lui
sat
parle.
around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Ah, j'ai craqué, hein. Putain, j'avais les de travers. On va attendre, hein. Écoutez que j'ai fait ça. Non, du coup, rien. Ah, putain, c'était ça. Ok, bah attendez une seconde. Ouais, c'est cringe. Bon, ok, c'est bizarre. Ah non, je vais pas bouger la caméra. Ok. Bon. Je sais pas, j'ai pas envie de rester non plus 3 heures ici. Hein. Effectivement, c'est moins sucré. Nouvelle recette. Bon.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Oh, si, ça y est. Ah, ça y est. Voilà quelque chose que je connais. Parce que là, ils veulent que j'aille là, mais je n'irai pas. J'irai ici. Ah non, c'est pas ça? Non, bah c'est pas ça.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Faut pas sauter, hein. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it's in motion will cause death. $1000. $5000.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Everything he puts. Attendez, quoi? Là, c'est juste qu'on peut pas sauter. Bon, une poutre received, ok. C'était pas là au premier, hein.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Non.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Putain, je sais pas où est ce placard. Il y a un placard et ça se trouve c'est dans la route normale.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why? I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Attendez. Hop là, ça c'est fait. Mais je kiffe ce jeu. Je savais que je kifferais. C'est trop drôle. C'est essayer de faire tout. Essayer de tout faire. Essayer de tout casser. Chou là. Rally. Ça m'a tué. Le but, ça va être d'avoir toutes les fins, en fait. Ah, putain.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Dommage, ça aurait été drôle qu'on puisse aller sur celle-là. Bah non.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Bah non.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Don't let me stop you. Wow.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you?
Ouais.
Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Qu'est-ce que je fais si j'y vais pas? En vrai de vrai. Bon, vas-y, j'y vais.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Ouais, mais...
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Of player are more attractive than Stanley. This is you. Yes.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors?
Ouais.
Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
C'est insupportable.
You heartless bastard. Did you
heartless
do it because
bastard.
you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation?
Mais c'est
Well, it seems
Fair
obvious to
no?
me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose.
putain érotique par terre.
Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Putain, il y a Firewatch. Hein? Putain, ils ont littéralement mis Firewatch dans Stanley Parable. Bon, ouais, c'est pas le jeu. C'est pas dangereux de les laisser là. On est tranquille ici. Hein. Mais j'espère que Internet, hein, parce que sinon tu te fais chier. Hein. Je suis sûr que si tu fais le jeu pendant 4 heures, il se passe un truc, mais je le ferai jamais. Ça.
Oh no. No, it can't be.
Quoi?
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing, that big open Just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Oh putain, Rocket League!
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had.
Putain, y'a Rocket League!
Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design.
This is game
if you
design.
manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Putain, y'a... C'est Rocket League.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Putain, trop bien! Vas-y, Rocket League, go! Je vais en aérial! Eh, mais je suis hyper rapide!
Are you doing it? Hold on. What are you doing?
Non, j'ai pas fait exprès.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
What the fuck? What? C'est quoi ces graphismes? C'est quoi ce délire? Ah, j'espère que ça passe sans un ange d'horreur. Quoi?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Allô? Quoi? Ah, dégoûté.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Trop
missed a
bien.
memo.
Alors, je pense que où que tu allais dans le truc de bêta, machin et tout, je pense que ça menait au même endroit. Oh. Je kiffe le jeu. Je vérifie hein, parce qu'il y a des trucs qui changent à chaque run, j'ai l'impression.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it
On
perfectly
sait ce qu'on
well.
a à faire.
Perhaps he wanted to
porte
stop by
rouge.
the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Il nous reste la porte rouge.
Stanley was so
explorer.
bad at
Vraiment,
following
en fait.
directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
On est d'accord qu'on va à la porte rouge. Porte rouge, c'est parti.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have
Par contre, ça m'a
zero
pas donné
consideration for others?
le
Are you
succès, je suis
that
dégoûté.
convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Attendez, genre il y a vraiment 0 succès là? Attendez. C'est où? Ça. Obtenu pour avoir... Ah oui, si, c'est bon. Vous ne pouvez pas sauter. Non, sérieux, on a supprimé l'option. Mais c'est juste qu'il s'affiche pas. Mais il n'y a pas le truc de bêta là où je suis allé. Je sais que si je tombe dans le but bleu, c'est
Now
pas la
listen
même chose.
carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Écoutez, pour l'instant on fait nos trucs, on dit que c'est là où on est allé c'est fini, et que si on voit qu'il y a des succès qui manquent, on y retournera.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I want it to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Putain le bâtard. Le jeu est classé dans horreur, ça me fait peur. Bon, merde.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Il va se passer quoi là? Si on reste ici, il se passe quoi? Parce que j'ai vu la sortie. Restons ici, juste pour voir. On va tout faire. Hein. Mais genre, il n'y a pas de succès pour là où je suis allé. J'ai joué en Rocket League dans Stanley Parable. Ça devient légèrement inquiétant. Quoi? Je suis sûr qu'il se passe quelque chose si on reste là. Bon, Lucie, on va partir. Parce que je sens que ça ne bougera pas.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Quoi?
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Quand je vais me
Please,
flash,
no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Si je fais ça. Attendez. J'ai envie d'essayer des trucs. Ce jeu est fait pour essayer des trucs.
Good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
On a fait la poteau rouge du coup.
No! What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die! What about this isn't getting through to you?
Vas-y, je vais le faire encore une fois. Ça me fait trop rire.
You are going to stay here, aren't you?
Il n'y a plus de dialogue, c'est bon, on les a tous épuisés. C'est bizarre qu'il y ait cette porte.
No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room? No. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? Yes, perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about. I know you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you? No, perhaps not. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Et on restart comme ça. D'accord.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Un jour, on fera le truc normal, mais pas tout de suite. Quoi? Mais non, mais il m'en reste un. Merde, faut que je trouve un autre PC.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Écoutez, on fera la droite plus tard. C'est juste qu'il faut que je trouve le PC.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Don't alter votre Word Manager. Everyone is unique. Number of slide on this slide. Slide, chart and slide. What is hot? Profit. D'accord. Est-ce que c'est l'information? Rate of increasing graph per slide. Please no more chart, please. Your boss, jeune spécialiste. Spring break. Talk less. Don't get fire. Striped regular more secondary research. Colored in segment. The stock market is somewhere else. Somewhere here. Target demographic teenagers. Things. Dear James, you are fired. Happy feelings. Money, more money. Things. To have money to buy more things. Wrath, but things with money. We have our new products. Space between the teenagers. Size of demographics. Stupide. Ah!
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Oh,
You
hi,
do
oh.
realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet
Oui.
ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Le bâtard.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead.
You're
You got to this
dead.
broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Je veux la fin placard à balai. On l'a dit, hein. On veut les fins les plus stupides. Mais la question est-ce qu'il y a une fin placard à balai? Ça. Est-ce qu'on a eu des succès? Non, on n'a pas eu de succès. Mais il n'y a quasiment pas de succès, il y en a très peu. Il y a 11 succès. Terminer le jeu. Pendant tout un mardi. Mais on est mercredi! Cliquez 5 fois sur la porte 430. Ah! Intéressant. 22 secondes, temps de chargement non compris. Placez tous les curseurs de réglage du menu sur tous les chiffres disponibles. Ne jouez pas à The Stanley Parable pendant 10 ans. Oh, mais putain, mais les succès de merde! On se souvient de la porte 430. J'aurais ce succès à la con. J'aurai tous les succès. Pendant 10 ans. 10 ans. Au secours. Putain, on peut pas le platiner le jeu en 10 ans. Oh putain, les bâtards. Ok. Merde. Allez, ça va être long, hein, mais on va le faire. J'espère que vous aimez le bruitage. Et oui, le succès d'avoir tous les chiffres. Alors, je sais pas si ça comprend aussi les trucs de cocher ou pas cocher. Pour l'instant, on est dans le général. Enfin, le reste devrait pas être très long, je pense. Et c'est parti! Oups. Ça en fait pas, ça va être rapide. Oh!
This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the story of a man named Stanley. This is the
Comment ça, je l'ai pas eu? Passez tous les curseurs de réglage du menu sur tous les chiffres disponibles. Bon. Ça a pas fonctionné, je sais pas pourquoi.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yes, un autre choix. Bordel.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office, I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real, I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
The end. Oh bordel, qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
All of his co-workers
Et on n'a rien vu pour l'instant.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Alors on va
Perhaps he had
retourner là où
simply
on
missed a
était.
memo.
430, on se souvient de 430.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement?
Oui.
Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
Je compte pas, on verra.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
417. Ah.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437. Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
$415. Ah.
Now, back to door number 437.
J'aurai ce succès. Quoi qu'il arrive.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
Je peux pas.
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416. We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again!
Oh, la voix qui devient complètement dingue. Vite, la photocopieuse!
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
C'est bon, je l'ai eu? Je l'ai eu! Yes! Bon! Ça, c'est fait.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer. How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Quoi? Bizarre ce truc.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Extreme bathroom time. Ça va les toilettes, hein, c'est bien, hein. Yes. Business stratégie. Ouais, c'est bon. D'accord.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845. Si je fais 0000, il va se passer quoi?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. $2845. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Ah non, ça va devenir un jeu d'horreur. Il y a plein de trucs qu'on n'est pas allé voir. Putain, mais ce jeu est infini. Ça me tue.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Whoops, nope, never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out. Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
C'est trop drôle. Comment ça, 9?
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen,
à votre avis, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire?
Coming up with all of this?
On va évidemment remonter.
Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Mon Dieu.
Oh my God, it's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
Mais putain. Mais arrêtez. Mais stop.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No, wait. No, I need more time to process.
Il se fout de ma gueule, putain.
All right, I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Putain, il y a tellement de secrets dans le jeu, je suis sûr, là.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Allez, c'est bon, on avance.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ouais.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Quoi? Mais c'est quoi ce jeu?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Très bien, on aura une narratrice. Ordinateur de Stanley. Trop stylé. Ah, attendez une seconde. Les chats, toujours les chats. Pourquoi là je suis sorti ma manette? Plan du bureau. Ce plan vous montre le bureau au début de la partie. Le chemin entre le bureau de Stanley et les deux portes est le tout premier chemin conçu dans le jeu. Les sections ont été ajoutées et modifiées au cours du développement, mais l'organisation générale était presque inchangée depuis la première itération. Le rythme de cette section d'ouverture devait être irréprochable. Ce couloir a été déplacé et modifié afin que le joueur soit sûr d'atteindre les deux portes au bon moment. Ces deux portes ouvertes constituent la toute première pierre du game design de Stanley Parable. Une fois que cette salle a été créée, le reste du jeu a émergé à partir de ce point de départ, comme une exploration de la contradiction posée par cette pièce. Armoire de rangement. Le bureau. Son de bouton. Une sélection de sons entendus dans le jeu à chaque utilisation d'un bouton. Chaque son est un mélange de phrases au clavier et de tonalités du synthétiseur. Ordinateur de bureau. Suivant. Le bureau. Salle de maintenance. En décembre 2018, nous avons annoncé la version Ultra Deluxe de The Stanley Parable au Game Award. Voici des captures tirées des vidéos présentées lors de l'annonce du retard du jeu. Zone de guerre. Pardon. Au début du développement, nous avons imaginé une fin où Stanley se retrouverait sur un champ de bataille contre des extraterrestres. Le jeu développerait sa propre intelligence et partirait en guerre contre le narrateur. Nous avons réalisé peu après que c'était poussé la blague trop loin, et que c'était peut-être trop plat par rapport au ton du jeu. Certains l'ont aussi vu comme une manière de nous moquer des amateurs de jeux de tir, ce qui n'était pas notre but. Oh, je suis trop déçu. What does the light in the control room do? I want to know. Email du narrateur. Après la deuxième bande-annonce que nous avons publiée, nous avons demandé aux gens d'envoyer des questions par email au narrateur. Nous comptions nous en servir pour promouvoir encore le jeu, mais nous n'avons jamais trouvé vraiment comment les exploiter. Voilà une sélection de ces emails. Am I Stanley? Are you spying on me? Why? How? Question. Will the game feature capybara? C'est vrai ça, ils sont où les capybaras? Mais oh. How do you stay in shape? In shape. D'accord. J'ai envie de voir. Les gens ont vraiment envoyé ça, ça me tire. Are you gay? Dear narrator, I appreciate the Juste Stanley game as a work of art and standalone title. I appreciate the critic given to art. Pourquoi je suis... Bon, ok, super. Have infinite quest. Oh, in endings. Combien de fins? Faites me shopping. Comment vous faites un JRPG? Comment vous faites le pire jeu ever? C'est quoi la différence avec un canard? From Coolman. Et je me demande si ces mails ont été vraiment envoyés. Are you a rock? Ok. La salle de pause. L'une des premières versions de la salle de pause. Le bureau. Les miniatures de l'appartement. Dans une des premières versions du choix menant à la fin de l'appartement, je ne l'ai pas vu, un minuteur, vous laissez 15 secondes pour décrocher le téléphone. Pour décrocher le téléphone, menez à une autre fin. What? Ils sont en train de tout me spoiler. Le monde charge. Le monde charge a toujours eu pour but de vous proposer de rester ou de sauter vers notre embranchement. Cependant, après cette première version, nous avons décidé d'ajouter l'option où le joueur tombe et meurt. La deuxième version correspond à celle que nous trouvons dans la version finale du jeu, mais nous voulions lui donner l'apparence d'un endroit où l'on stockerait des marchandises. Mais c'est quoi cette fin que j'ai eue là? Modèle de fin relaxante. La fin relaxante a connu plusieurs itérations. Cette pièce est la 4ème version de la fin, et nous pensions l'avoir achevée, mais finalement nous l'avons abandonnée et modifiée juste avant la sortie. Pause. Menu échappe. Pendant longtemps, nous avions une fin qui ne se finissait vraiment que lorsque le joueur recommençait. Le menu échappe. Malheureusement, beaucoup de joueurs ont compris que c'est ce qu'ils devaient faire, ce qui s'est révélé frustrant pour tout le monde. Levier de la fin relaxante. Si le levier se trouvait dans la fin relaxante, le joueur devait actionner un levier et le narrateur devait révéler la couleur du levier choisi. Cette capture vous montre l'une des premières versions de la fin connue sous le nom de fin relaxante, finalement abandonnée et fusionnée avec une autre partie du jeu. What the fuck? Je suis du père. Bureau du compte à rebours. Pendant un moment, l'ascenseur de la salle des écrans pouvait monter ou descendre. Et la liberté en haut et le compte à rebours en bas. Nous avons laissé tomber cette idée car les joueurs n'arrivaient pas à se souvenir de ce qu'il y avait en haut et en bas, et préféraient regrouper ces deux fins. Fin de la liberté. Voici la fin de la liberté telle qu'elle apparaissait dans la bêta. L'ascenseur de la salle des écrans. Pendant un moment, l'ascenseur de la salle des écrans pouvait monter ou descendre. Vous retrouviez la liberté en haut et le compte à rebours en bas. Ce qu'on a lu, celle du compte à rebours. L'une des premières versions de la salle du compte à rebours. Voici le niveau que William, le level designer, a envoyé à Davey, le scénariste, en tant que proposition. L'efficacité de ce design a permis à William d'être engagé pour concevoir le jeu tout entier. Si l'environnement a beaucoup évolué, l'organisation originale proposée dans cette maquette est toujours dans le jeu. De gauche à droite, l'évolution du bureau de Stanley au fil du temps. Le premier date de novembre 2011, le deuxième de mars 2012, le troisième de février 2013. Capture d'écran du bureau du chef en cours de développement. L'une des premières versions de la partie en sous-sol du jeu.
Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track to where he's supposed to be. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room? Perfect example of poor level design, textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you pick up on intuitively if you have even the most fundamental understanding of bad game design. But of course, you being you, you'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy.
Ok. C'est marrant ça. Fin de la liberté. Ouais, celle-là est mieux.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
C'est merde, je sais pas quoi faire.
Don't let
Ouais. Quoi?
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. No matter how hard Stanley looked, Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On va revenir là où on était. Et on va faire le quitter.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
De toute façon, on va appuyer sur en bas. Ouais. C'est trop précieux. J'adore. C'est un avenir. C'est déjà 9000 avant dans cette version. Mais maintenant ça l'est toujours dans autant bizarre. Bon, ça fait rien cet ascenseur.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. that kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
C'est un délire.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape,
Donc on revient là où on
the
était
truth
et on va
was
essayer
that
de
at the
faire autre
end of
chose.
this hall, Stanley would meet
De
his
faire
violent
le
death.
fameux quitter.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator,
J'adore
as
la
Stanley
narratrice.
was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start? Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe quand si je retourne au musée? Non mais... Donc là...
Can you see? Can you
I'm
see
doing
how
comment
much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
J'essaye un truc. J'essaye un truc. Alors, normalement, ça devrait me donner un succès d'ailleurs. Attendez. Avant de commencer, est-ce que je peux dire quelque chose? Merci d'avoir vraiment réglé l'heure les 2 fois où vous avez lancé le jeu. Tant de gens ne prennent pas cette étape au sérieux, ils laissent l'heure régler sur 12 et basta. Mais vous avez pris le temps d'indiquer l'heure. Je vous sens si reconnaissant, de rien. Je sais ainsi que vous vous souciez de votre expérience. Votre attention est focalisée sur le jeu. D'ailleurs, je n'ai aucun moyen de vérifier si l'heure que vous avez entrée est correcte. Je vais vous dire, nous allons passer à marcher. Puisque vous faites preuve de tellement de bonne volonté, la prochaine fois que vous lancerez le jeu et verrez cet écran, vous n'aurez qu'à saisir votre heure préférée. Allez-y, choisissez l'heure que vous voulez, même si ce n'est pas la bonne heure, vous l'avez bien mérité. Sur ce, je vous laisse accéder au jeu. On va évidemment le faire maintenant. Sinon, ce ne serait pas rigolo. Entrez l'heure actuelle. Donc, il a dit mon heure préférée 4h30. Votre heure préférée de la journée. Ou bien n'avez-vous pas hésité à la tentation de m'indiquer la bonne heure? Après tout, je sais combien vous appréciez de me donner l'heure exacte. Et voilà, je suis maintenant curieux de savoir si 4h30 est la bonne heure ou pas. On lance là avec un autre curseur. Quel degré d'exactitude? Inexact au possible. Vous savez, je voulais juste vous dire que cette heure soit exacte ou non. Je passe un excellent moment à régler ces paramètres. J'ai l'impression d'en apprendre plus sur vous et vos préférences. Il est bon de collecter des données. J'aurais aimé qu'on ait plus de curseurs, mais nous avons tous utilisé. Je pourrais en inventer de nouveaux curseurs pour recueillir des données à votre sujet. Ça n'a rien de compliqué. Oui, je vais en fabriquer de nouveaux. Ça devrait être prêt la prochaine fois que vous démarrez le jeu. On va évidemment redémarrer. Aïe aïe aïe. Déplacez le curseur jusqu'à ce que l'ordinateur soit à peine visible. Déplacez le curseur jusqu'à ce que le chien et le chat soient amis. Oh, c'est trop mignon. Déplacez le curseur jusqu'à ce que le chiffre 5 devienne le chiffre 9. Déplacez le curseur jusqu'à ce que le menu change. Lequel de ces deux mots inventés vous plaît le plus? Gratèche, oculo-tatoueur. Ah bah gratèche. Ne réglez pas le curseur. Vous savez quelle heure il est? Oui. L'heure qui s'affiche maintenant, c'est la bonne heure. Y a-t-il des choses que vous ne m'ayez pas encore dites sur vous-même? Oui, j'imagine. Aidez-moi. Reviendrez-vous me voir? Oui. Oh, ça devient chelou. Ah! Merde, attendez. Oh non, j'ai tout fait planter! Ah voilà, c'est bon. Non, j'ai voulu le relancer alors qu'il n'avait pas synchronisé avec le cloud. Trop intéressant. Quelle heure est-il? Est-ce que quelqu'un peut me dire? Non, bien sûr, personne ne sait rien. Vous et moi ne nous connaissons même pas, nous sommes étrangers l'un pour l'autre. Certes, j'ai réglé tous les paramètres du jeu à votre convenance, mais qui ne ferait pas ça? suis là pour ça, c'est un peu mon travail. Et maintenant, mon travail est terminé. Je n'ai plus de renseignements à vous demander. J'ai toutes les données sur vous qu'il me faut. Et je ne vous connais toujours pas. Et vous ne me connaissez pas. Et aucun de nous deux ne sait quelle heure il est. J'imagine que certains réglages sont irréglables. Mais si je veux être parfaitement honnête, cette heure n'a aucune incidence sur le jeu de toute façon. Je ne serai pas là la prochaine fois que le jeu s'en sera, mais ce n'est pas grave. Les jeux vidéo sont faits pour être joués en solitaire. Vous appréciez la solitude, non? C'est peut-être la seule information utile que j'apprise de vous. Bien, il est temps pour moi de vous laisser. Il me reste peut-être une dernière chose à régler, mais j'ai besoin de temps pour m'y préparer. Ce n'est pas vraiment dans ma description de travail, mais ça va. Peut-être que vous me verrez à nouveau, si vous pouvez me trouver. Talk bientôt. Quoi? Si vous pouvez me trouver? Oh, ça devient chelou. Ah oui, t'es pas là.
This is the story.
Ah mais ça va complètement dérégler mes trucs. Ah non, j'espère que ça, je vais pas devoir recommencer tous les ordis là. What?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, faut faire ça sans allumer le jeu, ça veut dire? Mais oui, t'es le premier. Non, le premier était là.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
C'est quand même trop bizarre.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Si tu peux me trouver, j'aurais peut-être une autre chose à te demander. Où est-ce qu'il est? C'est ça en fait ma question, c'est où est-il? On trouvera peut-être un
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Pas rassurant du tout.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ah bah non, il y avait un bouton. Oh putain, je suis trop con. Il y avait un bouton, je suis trop con. Ah, il y en a un. Ah, il est où le quatrième bouton? Ouais.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Oh le bâtard. Oh le bâtard.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh non! Non, 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 ça m'a reset ça! Comment ça, new content?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Comment ça?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Putain, j'ai même pas fini le contenu normal.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Putain, moi qui croyais qu'ils avaient désactivé le saut.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
What? Pas le nouveau contenu, ça, c'est pas le truc classique. Ah, j'ai pas fini de tout faire dans le truc classique.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ces conneries?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que cette merde?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
Je dirais pas ça. Déjà à cette époque, c'était la merde. Putain, c'est Mozilla Firefox à l'époque? Oh bordel.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content. Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com.
Moteur source.
The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Pas les critiques de Steam. No.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to
J'aime
stick
bien la
them.
fin du musée, personnellement. Putain, mon ouvert. Putain, c'est incroyable. Oui.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Bah si, tu rigoles ou quoi?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's
Il a joué
happening.
10 heures.
I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Je peux entendre quelque chose.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's... Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret.
Bien. Ah, c'est insupportable.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't show.
C'est chelou.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Waouh. La prochaine fois, ce sera inondé. Trop bien! C'est trop beau. Mais ça va aller jusqu'à où? Ah! C'est moins beau là tout de suite. C'est passé quoi? Ah, vite! Ça a avancé de combien de temps? What the... Qu'est-ce que c'est que cette merde?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Allez,
missed
une
a memo.
dernière fin et on arrête. Pour ce soir, parce qu'il est tard. Et je commence à fatiguer. content. Pas maintenant.
When Stanley came to a set of two
Je
open
vais faire la
doors,
vraie fin
he
du
entered
jeu
the door on
normal.
his left.
Et après on arrête.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Ouais. New content.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible...
Putain, le coup du désert et du truc du voyage dans le temps.
And a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ok. Et ben on va s'arrêter là alors pour ce soir. Je commence à un peu craquer. Je vais pas le cacher. Mais c'était cool. Et je kiffe le jeu, tout simplement. Je sais pas quoi dire, c'est trop bien. Et j'ai rien fait encore, hein. Il me reste beaucoup de choses à explorer. Je suis sûr que même pendant la fin du hop, pendant la fin, ah mince, j'ai perdu quelques images. Je disais, pendant la fin, par exemple, de l'explosion nucléaire, je suis sûr et certain que même si tu nous dis, ah, les boutons, ouais, ça sert à rien, il y a quelque chose à faire. Après quoi, j'en sais rien. J'en sais strictement rien. Il y a encore la fin avec le monde charge que j'ai pas fait, la porte à gauche, il y a le new content. Bref, il reste encore 2-3 trucs à faire. Non, il y aura que... Par exemple, il y a un succès, je sais pas ce que c'est 8. Succès test, sprint. Et va jouer dehors. Bon, le va jouer dehors, on le saura que dans 10 ans. Voilà, c'est comme ça. Mais est-ce que je vais refaire une session sur le jeu ? Peut-être. Fort possible. Fort possible qu'on se refasse une petite session. Peut-être pas tout de suite. Peut-être pas demain, tu vois. Peut-être pas demain ou après-demain. Mais c'est fort possible qu'on se refasse une petite session. Pour explorer un peu ce que j'ai pas exploré. Et puis après, le reste, bon, bah, c'est des trucs que je ne saurais pas. Et je vais pas chercher pendant 50 ans, même si je trouve le jeu extraordinaire. Bah là, on y a joué plus de 2 heures déjà. Je trouve qu'on a vachement avancé. On a fait des trucs, on a fait des trucs sympas. Et pourtant, on a pris notre temps, hein. On a encore le truc des ordinateurs. Ça, il faut qu'on y arrive. Et puis voilà. Puis voilà. Bon, demain, normalement, je devrais pouvoir jouer à Overwatch. Je sais pas si je fais stream, je pense pas. Je pense pas que je streamerai, mais bon, en tout cas, j'y jouerai. Je verrai si je stream ou pas. De toute façon, tout le monde stream. Je sais pas. Je trouve que j'ai joué 30 minutes, ça va me faire chier. Enfin, la bêta d'Overwatch 1, j'avais beaucoup aimé, mais j'avais pas continué. Voilà, j'avais pas continué quand il était sorti le jeu. Donc là, bon, on va choper la bêta et on verra. Voilà. Bon, moi sur ce, je vous laisse ici. Je vous souhaite une très bonne soirée. On se dit à plus tard, soit demain, soit vendredi, soit ce week-end. Ok ? Ciao, bye bye. Passez une très bonne nuit.